Yeah.
And I can adjust the lights in here. I kind of played around with it yesterday, but this is a piece of watercolor paper that I talked about making my own sanded paper. So I thought it would be kind of fun to show you how it works just as good as the expensive paper, I feel. The only thing is I'm not doing a wash on it. I can do a dry underpainting. With the alcohol underpainting, you can't do it on a pre-made surface like this, but I wanted to show you what I used. And this time was, it's called Color Fix. Art Spectrum Color Fix. It's terracotta is the color, and I'll send a picture over. But it's actually got the pumice in it already, and all you do is just paint it right onto the watercolor paper, and it's sanded, just like sanded paper. It is kind of expensive. I think I put this in the list that I sent you, but I love it. I actually, it's kind of a tie between the clear gesso that I put on the paper, which I did on another piece. I did a watercolor underpainting and then clear gessoed over it. So just trying to help out with the ease of expenses, because as you can see that you can go down the road and it can get expensive with the pastels and all of the supplies. So, and I know for myself, when I first started out, I was like cutting these small little tiny pieces of paper and trying to work and save. And then I didn't want to mess up because I don't have much paper and it was expensive. So I just want to give you opportunities to have some paper that you can work on and that won't cost so much, because we do need to practice as much as possible. So, all right, I'm going to send over our picture, and I'll also send over, I did do a grid. It's still really good to do this. And then I will do the picture in black and white. I printed it out in black and white. You can see here on my easel. But I like this picture. I think it's going to be fun, that we're going to have fun with the shadows of the snow and play with that with some blues and purples. And let me change this to black and white for you. So one of the reasons why, just as a reminder for black and white, we do this to really just pay attention to our values, our lights and darks. So the first thing, again, that we're thinking about when we're getting ready to paint like this, I'm gonna sketch it out with a dark blue. I kind of laid out my palette a little better for you today. Take a picture of it. I've got this new pastel. Just, I like using it. It's kind of like almost like a pencil. Charcoal, just a harder pastel, and we're just gonna lay it out here, our looking at our lights and our darks. I may use a pipe foam to blend a little bit. So it's one of these, and I think some of you have other pieces that you've been using for blending. Like, didn't you say, Janet, you had something off like bananas or something like that? So these are really nice to use for blending. So one of the other bonuses before we start talking about these like homemade pastel papers, it's going to force you to be really light touch. What I mean by that is our tooth of our paper can fill up really fast with our pastels. So this doesn't have as much tooth as the other papers, so it really forces you to just very light, and we're just layering and layering, and it actually is good for me because I can be very heavy-handed when I paint, and you actually get some really nice mixing, optical mixing with your colors. So I think this is a good. I highly suggest it if you can. So, all right, let's get started. I'm gonna make sure we're recording. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
We're recording. Don't worry, I'm on it. I like being able to see the. Does everybody like this view of seeing Marie and the close up of her paper? It's kind of nice, right?
Okay.
Or I can go up close.
That's good, and the color's good as well.
Is it okay? So again, we're gonna. I do this, and I'm gonna practice along with you because it's good to look at our picture, our reference, right? And we're looking at, okay, we've got. I'm gonna draw here our marks. Kind of, you know, we don't want our horizon line, which is right here.
Marie, can you use a red pastel?
Oh, yes.
Just to see it for that. I know it's hard. It's just hard to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, okay, here is our, is that coming across okay? Maybe darker. I've got a darker red here. So essentially, this is our grid. We're looking at horizon line. Our horizon line is here, okay? So this is good. We don't want a horizon line directly into the center because, well, it's just, it makes our picture flat. It doesn't look right compositionally. Speaking of composition, this is nice, right? Because it's like a pathway. It directs our eye here. So we're going to emphasis on these trees with some lights, right? And so we're looking at our grid where we're going to lay out our trees and our river, and it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just getting an idea. And then after that, we're going to be looking at our lights and our darks. Where is our dark areas in our picture? Right here, right here. And so when we're coming in, we're going to focus on our darker areas, of course, the river here. But we've got a lot of shadow in here, a lot of shadow in here from the trees. So let's sketch in. So, and this is another tip as we're beginning, right? Go ahead and make your marks if you need to. You know, if that helps, you can draw a line down. This will erase. You know, it's good. You can put dots in here to have better reference of what we're looking at. Even in a simple landscape like this, it's always good to get your bearings set. So, so anyhow, let's go ahead and I'm going to just take my new pastel and get this set in here. And you can draw along or I'm just looking at trees right now. We've got a tree here, a tree here. Remember, we don't want soldiers. So we've got this one here. I might bring this one down a little bit. We've got, I like this curve of that tree. Kind of helps with your eye leading this way. And this is a nice tree. It's got some fun branches I like. So this is kind of, as I'm thinking, I'm just telling you as I'm thinking about when I'm laying this out on the paper. What do I want? And there's another tree here. Now see what happens? You have these, it's almost like soldiers. So we need to think about, maybe we'll cover that up with some pastel. Take your time. And I'm just taking the side of my new pastel and just kind of dragging it up here. Pulling it down with the water. Got some shadows over here. This kind of comes in a little bit more. I like the
Hi, Claudia.
gesture of the
Hi,
trees.
Hi, Tina. Tina Brown, if I think you're new, so if you can on the chat see answer my question about the WhatsApp thread, I can help you.
That's probably Cindy.
Oh, hey, Cindy. That's funny.
Sorry.
Well,
Hi,
you confuse me. Don't confuse me. All right, then you're already on the thread. I'll get back.
I'm sorry. I had to log her into something earlier.
Is it showing up okay for everyone? Hopefully.
It looks great, Marie. This looks
Okay.
really good. Color's better. Everything
Is it?
better.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So right now, again, I'm just using my new pastel. This is going to be my roadmap, and I'm just laying in some color here and thinking about those shapes, right? I've got the darks, and I can wipe this off so it'll be a little easier to see. Matter of fact, I'll do that for you. So see if that works a little bit better. Maybe not. That's okay. But this is just our guide. And I do like that tree kind of coming in here. It's darker back in here. Got some brush underneath here. Just kind of adding in the gesture. We've got this tree, and this tree's in front. So when we're thinking about laying in the branches, right, it's going to be coming over across this tree and over across this tree. So placement doesn't have to be every limb, but again, this one's in front, this one's behind. So just thinking of placement. And I do like these grasses here. It's important. Okay, I'll take a picture. It seems like it's coming across okay. Go ahead and you guys can send me over what you have. I'm gonna kind of blend this with my pipe foam, pulling the edges. This is my reflections down, right? And diffusing that. Kind of gives you a nice little underpainting. Going down vertically, right, because of the reflection of this gives you the edge of that snow. Nice, Jeannie. And what are you using paints today, you said? Or no?
No, I'm using pastels, but
Okay.
I thought I was started with a plain, and then when I saw your orange, I did some orange and did alcohol on it to do it a little bit of underpainting.
Yeah, I like that. I can tell. Good job.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So, and you can do that, Jeannie. You can take that and just kind of bring down your, maybe blend you're in the middle of the river and just kind of bring that blue down a little bit. Nice, Janet. Go ahead and so Janet, you can go in there just a little bit with more blue, like on the edges, and kind of just bring that down for the reflections. But nice, the layout's really nice. And you can fill in the area too. Don't be worried about filling in the area. We're gonna lay color on top. And I'll take a picture of it now that nice, Nina. That looks great. So one thing, go ahead and bring out, Nina, like the edge of your so right here, bring that edge, if you can see, bring this out a little bit to the left, just a little bit more.
Can you show that again?
Yeah.
Oh, so my volume works. Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Can you see it okay?
Yeah, I can see it perfectly. Thanks.
Yeah. I figure maybe that'd be easier if I held this up, and just let me know if that's easier for me when I'm telling you what to do versus pointing on mine.
It helps a lot. Yeah,
yeah,
it does.
Okay, good. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Marie, can I smudge it with my fingers if I don't have like the accessory that you're using?
Absolutely. You can just do this with your finger. Mm-hmm. This is probably about the only time I'm going to really blend per se with my fingers or a blending. This is just in the underpainting portion. Because I know that we've kind of talked about like pastels are just so delicate. They have those really pretty crystals in them, especially the softer pastels. So we want to preserve that towards the end, which is kind of why we want a lighter touch with the harder pastel, and blending usually is done kind of in the beginning stages. And then you can use your finger a little bit here and there. I'm not against it. It's just we want to try to blend with the pastels, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go back to my picture. So this is always like thinking about where's the sun shining. Looks like it's off to from the right. So like we've got the sun kind of coming here just based on the really nice bright greens here and some bright greens underneath. So let's dig in. I'm gonna start with going back into the dark areas. So I'm gonna show you what colors I'm using. I'm gonna come back in with some dark greens. Looking at that darker area, very light touch, very light. Kind of going back into these darker areas and reinforcing them. Coming along this bank here. This is a softer pastel, so it likes to leave a little more pastel down. So I'm just really light touch. Very light. This is kind of a cooler, dark green. And of course, let's bring some of this down into our water very lightly. Just like that. And did I grab? I must have grabbed it. Another dark green. I'm gonna come back in. Going back along the trees. I'm using just the side of my pastel, just light, short marks.
Could we get closer up on the actual drawing you're doing? Sorry, or painting you're doing?
Yeah.
Right now, because I'm not seeing how you're making your marks as well.
Sure. Here. Let's see.
Thank you.
Yeah, good, Mira. So remember, Mira, remember about our little soldiers.
Yeah.
They happen. I don't know. It's just crazy how your brain likes to organize. So when we start adding in our color, you're gonna wanna bring this around
down a little bit. Okay.
Bring your river around, because we're gonna go to the right, and then we'll push back some of these trees and kind of cover up that color. So go ahead and start adding some green in there. But yeah, that's good, and that's okay, Cindy. If you have purple, no worries. It's not going to ruin anything. I think it's beautiful. So don't be afraid to lay in your color. go ahead and just kind of move that dark purple right into the back of your trees, and you should be fine. We're not going to worry about details until the very end. And let me see if I can move this closer. If you don't need the picture of, I kind of had it back just because of the reference photo, but I can move it closer if you want me to. As you can see, if that's easier.
This looks great, Marie. It's
Is that
much
better?
Yeah, it
Okay.
still looks, I can see why Cindy thought it was purple. So it's still not exactly the
And I
thing,
can
but that's
turn
okay.
I can turn the overhead light off.
No, turn it on. Turn it on.
Okay.
It's better. It's
Okay.
better on. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think as you guys know, we're always struggling with the Zoom quality. So the WhatsApp thread is important to actually see what the actual colors are. But this is significantly better, Marie, than in times past. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of fun to see you from the side and from the front too. So I
Good.
like watching you work and doing that. Cindy, I just have to jump in here. So are you now working, is your new client Tina Brown?
Yes, apparently that's the case.
Is it the Tina Brown?
Yes. Well, I was working for her.
You're kidding me.
No. Well, my boss was Harold Evans, who was the what was he at Reuters, the editor at large or whatever.
Right.
But he passed away in September, so now I'm
He's
working for
passed
her
you,
for the moment.
Tina Brown. So for those of you who don't know, you
They
probably
were
mostly
they were
do.
married. They were
Oh, I
married.
didn't
She was
know
always helping.
that.
She was always
Oh,
helping
yeah.
Tina a bit too. So
That's awesome. I didn't know you were. So Tina Brown, I don't know if she's still the editor of New Yorker, New Yorker, but she was.
She writes books now.
Now she writes books. Anyway,
does,
famous.
Does events.
Famous, a
well,
famous
when there were
person.
events.
Well, I'm glad you're still doing. I'm glad you're doing work for her. That's really exciting. Anyway, sorry, I just had to ask.
No.
Okay.
That's awesome. Okay, hopefully you guys can see a little better, and just I appreciate all the feedback. Like Leah said, this is a work in progress. So definitely just pop in and say, hey, I cannot see this, or I need it closer. So I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, let's get into, I know it's a lot of buildup, and I'm trying to go slower for you so you can see, because there is a process when we're thinking about what color do we do next? How do we make depth? How do we make it? How do we get this to look like it's farther back? Well, as you know, in landscape painting, as we move back, it gets cooler. And it can get darker and cooler, duller. So we're trying to build those layers so we create depth, just like what we were talking about earlier on a 2D picture, making it 3D on our painting. So I've got a dark purple, and I'm gonna just kind of rub it off on my little paper. I'm gonna come in here kind of behind this tree and just lay some of that purple in. It's almost about the same value as the blue, which is fine. I think that when we layer in multiple colors, hues, in the same value range, it really gives it that nice depth, and it gives it something, I don't know, like vibrant about it. It looks better than if you have one color. It just is too flat. When we talked about that, that's why the underpainting is so important as well. So just kind of looking where I want to go. Let's see here. This is kind of like you can see the difference between, this is a warmer green and this is a cooler green. It's got more blue in it, so it's cooler. So I'm gonna pop that in the back as well. Just kind of in the darker areas. Again, building up that color in the back. And notice I'm really working just in this area. This is where most of, if you were to squint your eyes and do that, really squint your eyes, because that gets rid of that detail and really helps with just seeing those lights and darks, those shapes. It's not about the leaf or the limb. It's about your eye is going to put that together as we paint. So again, just kind of what we put up top, we need to put down into the water, because it's a reflection, right? And not a whole lot, just a little bit. Can you see better with the mark making? I hope. Okay, let's get back into, so I'm just, again, I've got a piece of paper and I'm just testing this color, and I see kind of in the back we've got these limbs, and they're kind of illuminated by the sun, and so I'm gonna add some of that in there. Got just a little bit in here. And again, just using the side and the gestures. One thing is with landscapes, just like our sky, we're putting it down and then we're going back over and we're working it. We're working the color in and out. One thing about lights and landscapes is we try to preserve it as much as possible, meaning you notice I didn't lay any of that blue underpainting, because it makes it a lot harder to keep those lighters, that light color preserved if we're painting it over a darker color. It's not that you can't. It's just, see how much brighter that is compared to it over the blue. We're mixing over that blue. This is more of just a solid color. So we just to be mindful of that. Even like in the snow, I didn't add a whole lot of blue in the snow because I want to preserve that. Down here, we got some really fun grasses. So I'm just kind of laying that in. It's always good just to think about, where can I add this color? I might add some over here. Okay. So let's get some of the snow in. So I'm going to start with the snow, looking at the darkest darks, and I've got this blue, but I feel like it's more of a purple in that shade, right? So I'm kind of just looking at, okay. Holding my pastel on its side, and I'm going this direction of the snow. And I'm just going to lay that in. It kind of goes up. So I'm going to be, I like that. It's kind of drawing our eye up. So I'm going to have our pastel do that too. There's a definite defining line if you see from the light to the dark. So, and I do like that. So I'm just going to be aware of that. Got some shadow down here underneath the tree. Still very light touch, kind of coming up. And then feathering out. That's going to probably have a little bit darker purple when we come into there. Bring some of that down in here in the reflection. And then if we zoom in, we've got some kind of coming up onto this bank. Just making some marks at an angle because it is a bank. And it's light, and we'll come over here. Okay, let me see how everyone's doing. See if I can get a picture of this. Yeah, it does look like it looks better in color using this phone instead. Okay, so go ahead and send me what you have, or you can keep working. Good, Jeannie. Be careful of those soldiers again. That's going to be a thing, is every time we see a tree, we're going to think of soldiers. Nice. Good job, Will. That looks really nice. Good, Mira. That looks better. Good, Claudia. Good. So one thing to remember when we're doing our dragging in our color down here, don't be afraid to start here and kind of whisper it down. I know that we want to do like short little pulls, and even I am guilty of it. But why is because we have that reflection, and we'll blend it. Nice, Julia. Good. Good, Nina. You guys are getting it. Good. Okay, let's lay in some lighter snow here. And I'm just, again, using my testing here because I'm looking at value, right? And this is bluer, it's cooler. So this is going to be along kind of my shadowed areas. Very, very light, just light touch. Notice how I'm turning, I'm using the angle of my pastel, and I'm dragging it just like the contour of the land. So I'm pulling on the edge, I'm coming up, and then dragging lightly over. Just like you would. And then kind of coming up, right? Because our bank is coming up a little bit. Got a little bit here, here, and down. Just using the edge of my finger. See how it just brings those reflections down? Sure gives that nice depth. Coming back in here. It's okay if I'm going over that grass. I'll come back over it. Got some light coming down here. Okay. Let's see. I feel like we need to kind of get the sky in. Does anyone have any questions? Send another picture. So, bright sunny day. Let's see here. Using my test. It's kind of dark. Let's see what this is. That might be good. So what I did is I took two colors and I blended them, and then I'll come back in with just a little bit lighter. So we're going to start out with, just remember as the in the sky with the temperature or values, it's darker at the top and becomes lighter as we come down to the horizon. In temperature, when we're at the top, we're cooler coming down to warmer in the skies. So I'm coming in with a darker color at the top. And I'm gonna set this one down. And just a little bit on the top here using the side, just short strokes, and I'm just gonna kind of carve in a little bit here. I don't know if you can hear this neighbor's teenager showed up with the music. It's so loud. And let's see. These are just like sky holes, right? We've talked about that. I'm just adding them in here. We're going to go back over this with our greens. Nothing is perfect. We're just kind of adding it, getting our color in here. So I've got here, here. I've got another big tree that I may add in, actually, so. And I'll come back in with that lighter color. Very lightly over it. And you're thinking, oh, I see all of this underpainting underneath, and that's okay. That is not a problem at this point, because we're just getting our sky in. So see how I'm kind of just almost painting the negative shapes of that tree. And I see I've got some limbs coming over here. And come back in with my green and get that tree in. Using my new pastel, just kind of using the edge to lay in those branches. Oops. Come back in. And let's see here. Kind of is like a kind of a neutral color in here. Just bouncing around. This is, use one color and then you kind of look to see where you can use that other color at. This is a neutral, almost like a purple gray. Now I'm using it on these two, but this one sits forward and this is cooler. So in order to push this one forward, I'm going to use a warmer neutral. So I'm thinking I might even use this to start out with. Using the side. Kind of indicating where these branches are. Okay, I'll take a picture. Oops. Go ahead and send in what you have. Let me see. Those need to be, that's too dark. There we go. And come back in.
You can see how addicting it is. You should probably at this point, Marie, stop a little bit and take a look at what people are doing. But and I also want people to notice that if you are using white paper, look at how much more dull your drawings are. So notice what happens when you layer a color underneath another, when you put one color on top of another. Notice the difference. Now, I know not all of you are set up to pay attention to that, but it's key that you see how much these colors are supported by the color underneath. It's really important. So it's important to try and get some colored paper or something, or to figure out how to layer. Anyway, that's all. This comes up in painting a lot too, which essentially this is. It's just painting with sticks rather than with brushes.
No, but it is true how much different it is when you have a toned piece of paper, and it's like why we tone our canvases for painting too. There are artists that don't want to tone or do an underpainting, and that's okay. I just feel like it's just so much more vibrant. And
I don't think so. Sorry, I think they look ugly. No, I don't mean that, but I mean, I think most artists what I mean is I think most artists, even if they are, I don't think it's okay to not have colors underneath your colors, I guess is what I want to say. I think it's important to have layers of color, regardless of whether you do it by toning or whether you do it by actually layering your color.
I think that's what I mean in terms of some artists, they do that mixing and toning and layering, and they don't do an underpainting. That's, you have to, either way you're doing it, I guess.
Yeah, right. You're doing it even if you're not doing it. But the toned paper really helps because it pushes you, it gives you vibrancy even on your first layers. So if you lay that blue down on that orange, it really does. Nice, Mira.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead and keep going. I'll jump back off here. They're starting to send stuff in. These are looking good, you guys.
Yep. All right, Mira. So just remember our trees, and right now, right, because they're all looking more flat just because they're the same stick used on them, the same color. So we want to push those trees in the back. So we need to use cooler.
Okay.
Darker greens.
They're also the same size, the same height, and the same distance. So what does that make them?
Soldier.
Yeah.
Yep.
People are going to be listening to this video and be like, what is it? Why does everybody keep talking about soldiers?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Little soldiers in a row. We don't want soldiers.
It is. It's
good job.
It is what happens. So, all right, keep sending them in. Let me see. Good. Good, Janet. I like the way that you're pulling the pastel. I can see that you're paying attention to, you know, reflection and the land. So one thing to keep in mind is off to the right-hand side here. We want to try to angle a little bit going up this way, if you can. But other than that, and then go ahead and add some of your white snow in there. But yeah, good job. Nice. So great. Well, I mean, that looks great. just be aware of trying not to, you know, create the tree looking the same, you know, right in here. Right, we want to.
Yeah, I've made myself. I'm trying
Right.
to unmake them as we go.
You know how it's so easy to do, right? So you're doing good. So the way to avoid that is to maybe turn your pastel on its side.
Mhm.
That way you get a mark maybe that's wider versus thinner.
Yeah.
So we're varying our marks. Good. Good, Jeannie. Nice. That's really pretty. I love your snowbanks. Good. Good, Nina. Okay, that's nice. Good. You did good with your trees and your sky. Again, just be careful of our tree marks, right? Our limbs being the same. So again, just turn your pastel on its side, and it forces you to use, and it creates a little bit different mark. Let me see, Cindy. Yours is turned sideways. Good, I love the purple. That's pretty. So again, you know, your trees are looking kind of the same like we were just talking about. I'm turning it, it might flip, it keeps flipping, but let's work on getting those trees to be varied a little bit. So the way we want to push and pull, the warmer in the front, cooler in the back. So think about using your sticks that way. So what we'll want to do with like your trees in your back, use the side of your pastel and just like bring it out like this. I'll show you. Don't be afraid to, I know it's what we want to do is do this like a tree, but really we're dragging and filling in this space. And then at the end, we'll lay those brights on top, and it will actually create that depth. So don't be afraid to drag that green into long strokes like this, because then we're going to come over the top of it. Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Good. Good job, everyone. Okay. Get back to picture here. I hurt my back, so let's see here. Get some of that blue in the sky. Okay. And let's see here. This is kind of like a darker, show you right here. It's like a really dark brown. It's a hard pastel. And I'm just gonna come in here, just in the very back area. Just light strokes. And going into our dark areas here. Bring some of that down in here. This paper is kind of fun too because has a little bit of texture. And let's see, we've got tree here, so just looking at that shape of that. And it's a little darker down in here. And see, this blends with our other pastels. It gives it a nice, and I'm just using the edge of my new pastel, very, very light. Okay. And then I've got a, it's almost like a dark blue soft pastel, almost like a navy. And I'm going to go back into the water here, using this side just a little bit, scumbling it over, coming down into here, just coming right over in a horizontal, just scumbling, and then down. Adding some of that in there. Just blending. Okay. Let's get back into our trees. So I'm going to look at this area over here, and even I have a little bit of a soldier-like tree, even though that is kind of what it is depicted in the picture. I'm going to make my trunk a little bit bigger. So I'll just kind of bring it out. And let's see here. Thinking of layering. So I'm going to come back in with some darker green. And I'm using the side long strokes. They're coming at an angle, if you look at the picture. And then they kind of swoop up. Coming right over sky, and that's okay. Let's kind of move it right along like this. Then we're going to go to a little bit warmer, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is what I was just using. So I was using the color on the left, and now I'm using the color on the right. So see how cooler that green is compared to the one on the right. So I'm going to go in with the trees. and build up that layer. Very light touch. It's not our lightest light. Then got some of that over here. Kind of scumble that over. A little hint right here at the base of that tree. Okay. We'll come in with some more snow. Notice I'm kind of bouncing around, not spending too much time in one place. So this is kind of like a light purple. Pinky. I'm gonna lay that right in the sunny area. Just like that. So notice the difference. Something to, I mean, this is amazing, right? When you are putting a color down next to another color, we thought that color was white when we laid down that light blue, right? And then look at it next to this pinky purple color. See if I can wipe it off for you and show you. It's amazing because next to each other, you can see the difference. But when we laid it on the paper, it looked almost white. Oops. So I'm going to go back with my blue, my cooler blue. Is that my cooler blue that I used? I might have thrown it down and laid it down somewhere. That must be it. Put some more down the blue. Come in with that lighter blue, even though it's lit up and it's lighter, it's still cooler because it's in the shadow. This area here is warmer because that's actually where the sun is shining. So we're gonna have a cooler blue back in here. This is a bluer. And then just like dragging your pastel in the direction of those snowdrifts, remember? And it's going to get darker as we move into the back. So let me see. I'm looking for it's like a darker purple, almost bluer. Move into those shadowed areas. And come over here. Get some color up in here. Then I'll get that warmer pastel. Come back down into this area here. This is where the sun is hitting that snow. Even back in here. It actually curves. Well, I can correct that here with my, let's see. Okay. So we need to get into the water here. Let's take that blue spruce I had here. Pressing a little harder. Get that kind of back in there. Looks like it gets a little brighter. This is a soft pastel. It's a blue, almost like a turquoisey. Yeah, let's see. A navy. I need a darker blue. I'm looking for even darker than what I had earlier. Something like this. And some purple. We've got a light source coming across our water, so I'm kind of leaving that alone right this minute, and I'm going to add some yellowy well, the reflection of the trees, what we put in, and some yellowy and some green. I just haven't got to that. I almost need, let's see here, this purple. Okay. And I'll go into more dark new pastel. And I'm going to stop here. If you have questions, and everyone can send over what they have here. Go ahead and take pictures and send over. Let me see. It's a lot. Even when this picture, you think it's simple.
Totally. Cindy, I just wanted to say that I'm really digging the look of your piece. It, of course, does not look like what Marie is doing because you don't have the same layers.
No, because
but
I can't draw trees.
No, that's not
No.
it. It's colors. It's pure colors. It's not about that. But there is something very beautiful going on there, and I don't want you to. I want you to recognize it. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
for sure.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
absolutely
nice.
beautiful. You see what I'm saying, Marie? It's got a kind of a
Ethereal.
yeah, it's got an ethereal.
It looks different now.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. I am loving how these are coming out.
Good.
Nina, you need to get darker with your darks. They are not really, your darks aren't really reading as dark. I'm telling you, Nina, you need to get better paper.
I think it's the paper.
I'm
Well,
using watercolor paper, but I'm still using chalk, right? I think it's the chalk. So
I think I think what we should have you do is treat the watercolor paper with one of these, Jeff. So we're almost there.
Yeah.
I see. This is much darker, Nina. It's gorgeous. That's much significantly better.
Much
Wonderful.
better. Yep.
Nope, never mind. I was looking at your old piece. That's
oh, look at the puppy.
No, you're not. No, you're not, Diana.
Oh, I love its eyes.
Keep going. Just keep going. This is a dog with a very kind of a little red curly.
Yeah.
It's one of those doodles or whatever they call it.
Yes.
Yes. Like, and no, Diana, it's looking great. The eyes look great. Nose is looking great. Oh my gosh. And I'm talking it. You're not ruining it. You know.
No.
You know. No, Nina, that's beautiful. Actually, sorry, I was looking at your old piece.
No, and I think, Nina, if you can get this color fix or even the gesso and just put it, and you can just put it right over your watercolor paper or tone, like paint your paper like with watercolor. Ooh, and Janet. Tone it.
Janet, very nice. And Jean, really nice.
Are you putting gesso as a base and then doing the pastel on top? Is that what you're kind of recommending?
So what I did was with the color fix that I sent earlier, you just paint that over your watercolor paper. It already has the tint and the sand in it. the clear gesso has the sand. And so in order to tone your paper, you can use watercolor, you can use acrylic paints, and you just paint it over. And then when it dries within like 5 or 10 minutes, you can take that clear gesso, which is your sand, and then paint over it, which again only takes like 5 or 10 minutes to dry, and you've got your sanded paper.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the steps. So you do this sand color and then you put the gesso?
Yeah, so I have acrylic paints on the watercolor paper. And so I just have watercolor paper, and I just take off a sheet. And then the last one I did with the bright pink, I had the quinacridone, I think it was a magenta, and the white. I can't pull it out because it's blocked right now with the camera.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
And then I mixed those two. You can do any color you want. You can mix this nice terracotta color, paint over the watercolor paper, let it dry. And then you're gonna take this clear gesso.
Yeah, I have clear gesso, yeah. Okay.
And then you paint over that and let it dry. And that's your sanded paper.
Okay, that's good. We're still in a lockdown in Toronto, so I can't go into any stores right now. So whatever I can get online, I try to get. But
that's perfect.
Marie, can she not just tint the clear gesso? Could she not mix paint in with the gesso and have that work too? I don't know. I've never done that.
You can do that. I haven't. I kind of have done it separately, but yeah, you can. The color fix stuff that I was showing you, I have a couple colors. This is like gray. It's tinted and has the pumice in it.
It'll make it feel like sandpaper, basically. Nina,
and that's what I'm
painting for.
And that's what I'm painting on today.
It's strangely, although it feels like it should be more bumpy than the watercolor paper, it actually isn't. It's like less. It creates a kind of smoother surface, but still with a little bit of bump through this kind of sandy grit that goes on it.
It's really cool.
Anyway, yes, I think it's okay. So we're getting closer, Nina, to hooking you up with the right materials.
I think that it will help. Oh, look at nice. Well, oh yeah, much better. Good job on the trees.
What do you think of jeans? I like what's happening there.
I know, isn't that beautiful? You
Yes.
you are really getting the changes in the values, those lights and darks. Very nice.
It's not too goldy?
Well, I mean, that's okay, because here's the thing. You can just gently lay colors over it and let those pop here and there. Okay. So that, I think it's just it's beautiful. Great. Oh, Cindy, wow, look at your water. That's beautiful.
I know, Cindy's nailing this one.
Wow.
It's nice because it's been a while since you've been here.
Thank you.
And Claudia, I like. What do you think about what's happening with Claudia there?
Claudia. So are you doing? It's almost like a sunset.
Yeah, I don't have enough blue, so I took pink. That's why.
Exactly. I figured that's what happened, and I think you are really doing it. That's hard to do, like to transfer into a different color. So
are you using newsprint, Claudia?
It kind of looks like it.
No, I'm using pastel matte.
Oh, the pastel, right? The dreaded pastel matte, right?
No, but pastel matte is the best brand of all.
That's the good stuff. What's the bad?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's the Mietientis, which is the bad stuff. That's right.
There's a console one that's disastrous.
There we go.
Yeah.
Ooh, Julia, that's interesting.
But she's great.
I love your snow, Julia.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I like it that everybody's really taken this one in a new direction. So start to notice how colors change depending on what you're laying on top of them. Notice how much colors need other colors. Notice how much your notice how much your lights need dark kind of next to them or underneath them, right? Or like, but I think these are really beautiful pieces that are going in very interesting in different directions.
Right. That's what I absolutely love about this. every time we do this in class, everyone's interpretation and the way they paint, that's by far, like, I love it.
And I think we are going to a new subject next week, Marie, right?
Yes, we are. We're going into sunsets and sunrises.
That's one of Marie's specialties. You guys are going to like it.
It's going to be
really
fun. Bright colors. And hey, if you don't have a whole bunch of bright color sticks, do not worry. Do not worry. We can still just have a few and have fun. So that's all I want you to do is have fun and learn. This is so cool. So Julia, I love what you did with the snow and the shadows. You're really, really paying attention to that. So good job. And the trees. And so now let's just work with laying those greens in your trees and letting it kind of come and drift over into the sky, right? We can, because those trees are in front of the sky. And so now you can bring that in, so it's not just little, like little pieces here and little pieces here. So varying your trees. Very nice with all the color though. I love the purple and the blues. Good job, you guys. I love it. Okay. So let's do a little bit more. Let's see here. I was thinking about the water. This is what happens when I pull out an original palette and then I think, oh, I need to add a little bit more here and change it. And let's see. This is kind of like a olive green. Let's see how it works here in the. That works nice. Need to bring some of that up into here though. Also, for those who are on not as toothy paper, and like even for myself, you can spray with fixative. This would probably be a good time to spray with fixative if you need to, because you may have filled up the tooth of your paper a little bit, and that's okay. Just looking for the warmth where the sun's hitting, and I'm just adding it in there. And let's see, kind of like this blue here.
I have to run. I'll see you next week. Thank you, Marie. And
Okay.
Bye.
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 Pressing a little harder in here, just getting the sky a little bit in. Sometimes you need pieces to be painted in order to get your bearings and the colors, and sometimes if things aren't in, it makes it hard when you're trying to figure out where to go next. And I felt like the sky just needed to be a little bit more defined. I'll go a little bit bluer right in here. And as we do those sky holes, we always go a little bit darker because it's filtering through these branches. It has a lot of that light and it gets diffused. So that's why we do darker. And I kind of touch it so it doesn't look like Christmas lights. And let's go into the back here. It's a little too light. No. Darker color here. Kind of a neutral. Just softening the edges here a little bit. Get some more color down in the water. And let's see. I'm using the pastel as also my blending tool. So you can see the marks it makes. It also blends. So that needs to come back in. And this. Back and forth, back and forth. It's just Okay. I think 1 month we're going to be doing or working on reflections and water, and which I enjoy. And so that's going to be a fun one where we learn about the mixing. And I know I'm going a little fast.
I'm gonna leave you again. I have to go eat breakfast. See you next week.
Bye, Diana.
Bye.
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 Okay. Kind of need to come down in here with one more worm. All right, let's get some more on these trees. Just come back in. Same kind of dark green. I'm letting the underpainting show underneath, but I mean, you don't have to, but I like it. I like the warmth and the texture that it's giving it. So, and now what I'm doing is I'm going back in with these darker sticks and of the green that we used and coming back into the sky. Oops, the light touch. And this is how then we come back in with our pastel very lightly. Maybe even adding a branch here too. This one's kind of hanging out. Pressing a little harder. Adding a little bit more of that shadowed area. This is a cooler green. Come down with this just tapping a little bit. And let's see about that tree. Kind of need like a be it right there. Like no green, just like branches. This light. Oops. And then we've got some more over in here too. Actually have this tree way in the back. And, a little bit of highlights there. Probably need to get a little brighter.
I think my grasses on the bottom right were too much.
Your yellows?
No, I just put a new picture in. I like the grasses I did on the left, but on the right, I think they're distracting.
Let me look. Oh, down on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. That's a good thing to think about. Like, should we add those in? Should we not? I like them, but you know what an alternative could be is taking in maybe like this orangish terracotta, and maybe coming in here and just indicating some grass like this.
Ah, okay. So they don't seem to be coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, and maybe at an angle, you know, and build it that way, because we want the eye to lead. So, you know, it's okay. This gives us the artistic license to really do whatever we want. It also helps kind of say, oh, we're standing on ground and giving us the perspective, and that's okay. So, but you can just, this is a square pastel, and you can do that. You could just fill this in a little bit at the bottom and put in some of these grasses.
Okay, thank you.
And just very light. What happened in yours is that there's a big contrast between your light and your dark, which is okay, but just we don't want them like just 2 or 3. Kind of fill it in a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna stop. And if everyone wants to go ahead and send in their pictures, and let's see where they're at. Since we're already coming down to the end of class. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to do on this. I definitely would come in with like a harder pastel and maybe get in some of these grasses here. You know, just indicating some grasses and getting in some darker darks. this is actually a really great picture to learn how to mix your colors, your optical mixing with the pastel in relationship to the other color. It looks like one color when you lay it down, and then when you bring another color next to it, it changes. So really paying attention to those values and those in those colors of those pastels.
Yeah, you might not be able to hear me.
You told me that you are finishing your painting.
Yeah, I'm also doing that too. So yeah. Mom.
Oh, I love it, Janet. That's beautiful. It looks really good. Be careful of your line on the.
Yeah, it was very good. I saw
right here.
was there.
We just break that up a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I love how you left your underpainting.
Very nice.
It looks really pretty.
Yeah. Very good.
What did you say to do on that?
No, I'm having a class. I'm on
right
mute,
here?
but there's a class, I said.
Hello.
Can you see my picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like this line right here, just pull your reflection down into the water and then kind of break up that line a little bit, just so it's not, when you go to look, it's a contrast. It's a real dark and light, so your eye gets directed right to that spot. But I love this.
Damn, you guys, that's fucking gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
You
guys, I love it.
I'm noticing a big shift with every single one of you, even between when we started these classes a month ago and now.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine where you'll be a year from now.
Much better, Jeannie.
Oh my God, it's great.
Yeah, I think that fixed it. Thank you.
You see how that looks so much better right there? Yep. Good job. Wow. They're so pretty. I love it. Good job, Mira.
Marie, can you help me with the reflection? It just looks like a soldier.
Yes. So what we need to do is we need more blending, right?
Okay.
And so what's happening is you have a really light next to a really dark. That's what we were talking about, contrast.
Yeah.
So you need to scumble some. So take some of your blue that I see off to your right. Take that and kind of drag it across it.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. These are looking so good.
They really are.
I love it.
All right. I loved hearing Nina so excited on the phone about the class, but sorry, Nina, I did need to mute you for that, but it was really it was really exciting to hear like how awesome this is, because it is awesome. Because it's awesome.
My gosh.
It's so awesome. We were just discussing before class, one of the things that's so gratifying about this class, which is that it's one thing to offer art classes for people who have, made the decision that they want to do art and they're kind of actively seeking out art experiences. It's really exciting to see how many artists emerge out of doing this for relaxation, out of doing this starting this as a wonderful, Nina, great work today. Really, really great work.
Yes.
It's really fun to see so many artists emerge who might not have thought they were artists before these classes were offered by their company. So I just think that's really neat. I just think there's way more artists out there than we would think.
And the mental break. I mean, that's the piece of it. It's a 2-hour time frame where you don't have to think about anything. Whatever was stressing you or bothering you, it's gone for like 2 hours. You're just in the moment. And your brain needs that. It's so important.
Break.
You really do.
It's funny because it's not exactly relaxing in the way that like laying on a beach is relaxing, right?
No.
It's not that kind of relaxing. It's actually kind of stressful because we're asking you to do something that has sort of different, and you might have success, you might have not success, you may be failing along the way. As you will notice, failure is a very important part of this process. You cannot get better without failing. So, and that's a really interesting thing to think of as well. Like failure has to be built into your system for success. So to think about success, you have to have you have to have some failures along the way, just in terms of like some little ones, some big ones, right? Where you're like struggling to kind of figure it out. It's really fun to see you guys push yourself, like really push yourself. And Mira, I was just totally appreciating you asking Marie, looking at your painting going, okay, I know what the problem is.
Exactly.
You might not exactly know how to fix it, but to be able to look at this painting and go, here's the problem area. What do I do? That is a leap in itself. It's really, yeah. We don't actually go for perfection here. We like people to kind of be like, I don't know what I'm, push yourself into where you don't know what you're doing.
Well, you're seeing me look at it too. Like I'm trying to figure out colors and picking and looking. So it's a process. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's really
good job, Julia. Okay, so Janet, good job. Now, what I would say about that line, just what we were talking about right in here.
Yeah.
Now, take some of your dark blue and break up some of this areas. Try to be careful of doing even areas, but you see what I mean? So see how I'm breaking up some of that reflection?
Okay.
Yeah. But it looks beautiful. I mean, that's just being specific where you don't, I mean, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really, really nice. Oh, I love it.
Fix it. So
yes.
Can you
Let me
tell
see.
me?
Yeah. Let me see.
It's not great, but I'm trying.
Julia, you did a wonderful job on that bright highlighted area in the river. It's beautiful where the grass is and that green. It's really, really nice sense of depth. Good job. That's really pretty. Really, really nice. Did you send it, Mira?
Yeah, I thought I did. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Much better. Okay, yeah. See how it's not. Now, just keep working those edges with the darker, the blue, to get rid of that really light color.
Okay.
Yep. And when you're painting, do this versus this.
Okay.
So now I want you to kind of do this.
Okay,
got it. It's going to take, just like if you laid paint down in a line and then you took your brush and went like this.
Right.
It would lay it out.
Better, okay.
That's what we want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, much better, Janet. Good. That looks really good. Everyone did so good job. Well, everyone did so good today. Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love them. Does anyone have any questions for if you want to keep working on this?
Yeah, let's take one last round of questions and then we'll end the call.
Yeah.
And this will be up on the this will be up soon on the Art at Work website. So
yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead, ask, and be glad to help. You guys are really, really doing well. And I encourage you, do this again. After you're done today, do another one of these, because you're going to be amazed at how much your brain recorded and what you did right now, and your picking and your coloring and your painting is going to get just that much better if you do it again.
I think I'm still struggling with the trees, like those marks you make on to get the kind of unevenness of the branches. I still feel like I'm drawing sticks.
Yes. Yes. So yes, Julia, good. What I want you to do with your hard pastels and your soft pastels, so meaning like this is a hard pastel, this is a soft pastel, this has hard edges, this has soft edges. So when you're using it, with your soft edges, just kind of lightly drag it like this, just whispering. And when you have a hard pastel, you can come in and press a little harder and add in some branches. You see? So when think about what stick you're grabbing and what it can do. For like a tree, if you have a tree, you can just kind of, you know, gesture it in like this, right? And then you're layering colors over it, but you're not necessarily doing the same exact over the same area. You're letting that other color show through. You see what I mean? So just lightly mark. See how I'm tilting my arm this way and my hand this way. Practice on, this is just a regular piece of paper. You can use your hard pastel to come up like this, you know, and do harder branches with boughs like this. You see? And then coming back over with your softer pastel, just like that. Trees are tricky. In a way, I think it's just getting out of our own way when we think about it, and just looking at the shapes, the lights and the darks, and not worry about the individual leaves and the branches. Just do the gestures.
Right. And that sounds, hold on, am I on mute? No, I'm not. Yes, that is the practice, right? It's thinking about your picture as more like a puzzle of light and dark, a light, medium, and dark pieces, rather than a thing that you're trying to put together. If you are looking, I know a lot of people have done puzzles during the pandemic, and very often you do not know what it is you're putting together with a puzzle, right? All you can really see is, does this kind of shape fit with this kind of shape? And is there a transition between light to dark? This is the mental headspace you need to get into when you're looking at your painting. It's seeing the bigger, and it's really good to help and look at the bigger dark and light shapes. If you look at Marie's piece here, there are two significant bigger dark shapes that are, one on that tree that's second from the left, right? So that's kind of a big dark shape with a few branches, but mostly it's a big dark shape. It's also, and you can see the same thing happening in kind of that tree in the middle next to the gold one, just to the right of the gold one. There's this kind of big dark shape. I think the other mistake that people make with trees a lot is they try to draw the branches all the way down. And often when you're looking at a tree from the distance, it's just like a plain dark or light block of color. So after you get down a certain distance, you're really only drawing branches as how they lay against the sky. Right. Then, like when you go down further, so if you keep drawing the branches down, in truth, you can't really see them. You'll see she doesn't really have branches down at the base.
Right. And really
it's mostly the only blocks of light and dark color.
Yep. And Julia, really when we start looking at the actual branches and the leaves is in the foreground when it's closer to you. So just keep that in mind for perspective. As we are moving in the distance, it's going to be more of those just shapes and blobs. And really all you're caring about is the light and darks. But as we come closer, like this is where I would probably add an actual, you know, indication of maybe a tree area that would indicate more of a detailed is right in the front. No, that's an excellent question. I hope that helped.
No, that did.
It's a mental shift, right, in thought. Like it's a mental shift. It's almost like we're learning how to, it's actually, you know who think like artists are car mechanics, because they're constantly having to pull things apart and then put them back together, right? Sort of visually in the same place. So you're looking at different pieces. You're kind of like constructing and deconstructing the tree into a semblance of light and dark shapes, right? And a semblance of mark making and a semblance of, so you're all, or it's like quilting, or I don't know what else it's like, but it's like you're absolutely, you're constructing, you're pulling it apart, then you're putting it back together again.
Yep.
And that is I've always thought most wrenchers, what do they call it? Here they call, in the US, they call car mechanics wrenchers, because you're constantly wrenching things in or out. But I've always been struck by the strong visual abilities, right brain abilities of these guys, the visual spatial abilities, because they have to have that to be able to do that and then put it back together again.
That's true.
So, and a carpenter is the same, right? Because a carpenter knows they can't, like, a carpenter can't start with detail. A carpenter has to start with like blocks of wood and basic shapes. Yeah, you have to make sure if you're making a table that, like, with beautiful ornate legs, that your 4 blocks of wood are the same shape and the same size, and that your flat slab of wood fits on top of it before you try to add any detail. So that's the mindset we need to be in. It's magical. Wait till you do it. As you continue to practice it, it will blow your mind at how much it sharpens your thinking.
Yep.
After you stop fighting it so much, after your left brain stops fighting it so much and becomes more adjusted to it, it actually makes the whole brain work more. It's like you've added a whole set of analytical tools to your toolbox.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yes. One isn't exhausted and sent to the edge and lost their power and all those other things. I ain't saying it's going to solve all the problems, but I will say it does change things. It makes you feel smarter, and it makes you smarter. Like, I like to tell people that. They're like, what? I'm like, no, it actually makes you smarter. It makes you more tuned to the visual spatial in all aspects of life. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Also, visual spatial is much less judgmental than the left brain. The left brain is verbal conceptual. So this is us having a picture and a concept in our head. And words are very judgmental a lot of the time. And they limit us because they don't really let us see the full thing of what's going on. But when you start judging something from a visual spatial perspective, you find that you get much less judgmental and more like, that's this size and that's this side. You don't think, is that pretty? Is that ugly? Do I like it? Do I not like it? You're just like, what's that shape? What's that shape? Can you see the difference? It's an entirely more neutral way of thinking about the world, which we all totally fucking need. So, myself included. All right, lecture ended for verbal right and left side of the brain. I hope I'll see some of you guys at the painting basics workshop on Tuesday. Next week, Marie's going to sunsets here in this class. I'm going to animals, I think in both painting and in drawing. So we'll be having fun.
Good job, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys also might want to put down on your calendar that there will be no class on Sunday, March 7th. So I'll remind you, but if you want to right now that there'll be no class on Sunday, Marie's dad is going in for surgery and she needs to take care of him. So I probably shouldn't have said that out loud, but anyway, that's.
Oh, it's fine.
No worries. That looks great. You fixed your grasses and kept them in. That's nice.
Yeah, it does.
I really like all those golds. Boy, that's pretty.
I think so too. Looks beautiful.
All right, you guys, here, hold on.
Good job, you guys.
Stop the record.